balancing spiritual pursuit with worldly responsibilities. In our sampradaya, in our tradition, we don't differentiate between spiritual life and worldly life. There's no dichotomy between both. Whole life is for spiritual success. Your whole life, your family, your relationships, your employment, whatever you do in this transactional world is for your spiritual growth. So there is no, first of all, conflict, in fact, between spiritual and worldly. That's number one thing. But what I understand from this question is, sometimes we want to have more time for spiritual practices, such as meditation, maybe puja, japa, all of these things we associate with spiritual life, right? So we may want more time, but then what happens? My grandkid comes in screaming into the room. I'm trying to meditate. I'm getting disturbed. Some phone call comes. This happens. I've got so many things to juggle. My relations are coming here, there, everywhere. Definitely it is not easy. When you have a lot of responsibilities, it is not easy. Now I'm going to ask a second question. When do your responsibilities stop?
Never.
Do you want them to stop? That's another thing. So this is going to be quite a painful thing maybe to hear, but the Shastra says your responsibility stops when your children are settled, when you have empowered them with their free will to live their own lives. You have inculcated the value systems in them. They have the strength, the capacity to live their own lives. Maybe they are married off. These days we can't even say my responsibilities are finished when my children are married, because they don't want you to marry them. They want to find their own person. So they're not going to settle for you to make the choice these days. So we can't say that our responsibility also stops when they're married, because it's not up to us now. We have to see when the child is ready to go on its own, when it has its own, life to follow, it has its own job, it has, everything. I'm saying it because he or she, I'm using the word. The child has its own way. My responsibility stops. My responsibility stops. Just as in nature, you look at nature, anything in nature, when it has its offspring, if you see the birds in the nest, when the bird is ready to fly out of the nest, does the mother or father hold it back saying, no, don't go, don't leave, no? Does it ask it to come? No. What happens? The bird flies. It goes on its own route. Each individual has their own route to go. You are a managing trustee. Bhagavan has given that prasada, he's given that child or children to you as managing trustee. You are not the owner of anyone in this jagat. That child has its own pursuit, it has its own path, it has its own set of karmas. You cannot protect it all its life, can you? It has to experience ups and downs. Can we always, of course, we don't want our children or grandchildren to go through any unpleasant. But can we protect everyone from everything, all our loved ones? No. So first of all, the Shastra says, if there is a conflict between worldly responsibilities and time for your spiritual pursuit, the first thing is to draw the line to say, my responsibility is finished now. But for that, the spiritual pursuit has to be seen of greater value, right? The value given to the spiritual pursuit has to be seen greater. In fact, we are all born only for spiritual success. The life is given only for spiritual success. Otherwise, we're always recycled. You finish one janma, finish one life, what are you doing? Fulfilling desire, eating, sleeping, enjoying, then, going through all the life again. All of this is again a cycle, fulfilling all your desires, anyway, you can't fulfill all your desires because there'll still be huge lists that keep coming up, because you fulfill one list, then another list appears suddenly in your mind. You don't know where it's come from. So we can never exhaust all the desires, but we die off trying to exhaust our desires. Then your desires convert to desires for your children, desires for your grandchildren. Oh, I want my son to go to Yale, I want him to go to Harvard, I want him to study this. Then the desires transmuted to another desire. So this is the non-ending, the cycle of samsara. We call it samsara, not even life. This is called samsara. And when I'm in the samsaric cycle, it will never end. That is a fact. So there is a wake-up call sometimes that the Shastra does. See, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? How long are you going to, go on with these responsibilities? Who has put the responsibilities for you? You have put it on yourself. Shastra is very clear. When you finished with the kids, they go on their own. Not that you just throw them out the house. When they need you, you are always there for them. But you are not always there, going after them. They are old enough. They have their own lives. And then what do you spend your life on? That is the thing. That is where the spiritual, the pursuit comes into view. I spend my life aiming to discover who I am in reality. Why am I born? What have I come here for to this world? This is the main question that comes to a spiritual seeker. To discover the truth of oneself is the real goal of our human existence. There is nothing else. Whether it is in this life or in next life or in next life, it doesn't matter. Because we have umpteen lives we can go over. But there's a reason we are here. So worldly responsibilities will never end unless you choose them to end. They will continue if you choose them to continue. There is nothing written that you have to take also care of your grandchildren, this, that, and then it will go on and on. They will never end. So one has to take a decision. What am I here for? What am I really born for? And each one has to choose. Because if I get again into that role of getting into the life of family and all this, I will get sucked in there. I will not have time for my own sadhana, my own pursuit as well. That life should bless me. It should bless me to grow. With my children as well, that bless me to grow through the teachings of Gita, through what Krishna has given. Children also that, love without attachment is another teaching that Krishna talks about. Anabhishvangaha putra dara grahadishu, he says it's a value. No over emotional investment in anything, in your children, in your spouse, in your house, or in any of your properties, anything you have. Don't overly invest your emotions, because again you will be sucked into that life. You won't have time for anything else. So one needs to really examine. I want my own space to do some spiritual practices. I'm always here for my family members. If they need me, I'm always available. But I need time out for myself, because this can't be discovered also in the thick and thin of too much interaction as well. So worldly responsibilities, spiritual practice comes in your own will, using your own volition, deciding for yourself what is priority, what is most important. By the time we know it, what happens? Life overtakes, the hair is grey, all the accessories of the earrings and necklaces and nice accessories are replaced by different accessories of false teeth, walking stick. So those accessories get replaced by old age accessories, and then finally it's very late, I can't do anything. So this is where one has to decide. But in the Shastra, it is clear, responsibilities finish with your children. There's no responsibilities over grandchildren.
And before that, like before 50s, you don't do anything for spiritualism?
That is where you can keep up. You can keep up with the teachings, the very Shravanam, the very listening to the teachings of Gita, along with your responsibilities, bringing up the children, working in the world, going to the office. The Gita's teachings especially help you to retain and a balance, mental balance in all your interactions in life. So that's why Gita becomes a very important text to keep listening to. The very listening, at least have, if you're very, very busy in your life and you want some spiritual, introduce some spiritual practice, take at least 1 hour out in the morning where you don't have any disturbance, no phone, no talking to anyone in the household, not any kind of disturbance. If you can't find, the space to do it, find the time. That's why we say Brahma Muhurtam, between 3 and 6 in the morning. It takes, again, some motivation, some courage, because, the mind, you want to lay in bed or you want to stay in longer. So sadhana, you require that time to yourself. Without alone time, spiritual life is very difficult. You require some time alone to think about situations, think about things. So that is where, that lifestyle becomes important of balancing and drawing boundaries. When people disturb that, you are very clear, this time is me time. Nobody can come and, disturb this me time. I need this time for myself. It is very important in spiritual life to have that me time. And, again, it is up to each individual. We all have our priorities, right? We can watch a 3-hour movie, Hindi Bollywood movie, without getting, it's very good. Can we not watch a hit movie without even flinching, without even blinking, because we're so absorbed? We're able to go to the movies, or we're able to go to restaurants, we're able to do all sorts of other entertainment, and our mind is able to be focused. But why is it not able to focus on spiritual growth, spiritual life? If the interest is there, focus will be there. So that is the whole key. Developing the interest in this, seeing the value of this. I'd rather have 1 hour of Gita study than 1 hour of some soap opera on TV. That is the value. Because soap opera on TV, what is going to give you? Some instant pleasure for 1 hour, right? You'll find, oh, this one married this one did this, that one did that. For 1 hour, your mind is, again, peaceful because you're absorbed in the soap opera. Any entertainment, remember, is an escape from being with yourself. Anything we go after is escape from being with yourself. So that's why we keep going after entertainments in life, because I cannot sit with myself. So spiritual success is actually defined as being able to be with yourself and being happy with yourself. You are your own entertainment, then you know you're spiritually successful. You don't need other entertainment outside. But we are always running away from ourselves. We're always going here, there, everywhere. Why? Because I cannot be with myself. When the conscious mind is at rest, the unconscious surfaces. So all those thoughts come up, I'm not good enough, nobody loves me. Everybody, all human beings, this is the fundamental problem. Our scriptures have talked about it. If we sit with ourselves more than, 10, 15 minutes, we cannot, it's very difficult. A lot of people cannot handle. Some people can, but immediately they'll have to get busy with something. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Why? Because all the unconscious starts surfacing. So here, this is where spiritual life is not easy. You require to sit with yourself and go through whatever pain comes up. That pain has to come out. It's like vomit has to come out before you can feel comfortable, right? So I can't keep escaping from what is within. So when I understand that I go through that period, the real peace is there. It's lying there inside me. It's within always. But it requires some practices, also some painful situations. It is not going to come through pleasure all the time. But once I discover that reservoir of peace within, nothing can disturb it. That is the beauty. No external situation can disturb my inner peace, because I have discovered that I am the source of all strength. I am the source of all security. I don't need anything external for security, happiness, and strength, because I've discovered it within myself. And for that discovery to happen, you need some time out from life. You need to say to everybody, no, I need this time for myself, to study, to learn. So even when you're living in the world, you're with all the responsibilities, you still can practice this life. You can take an hour out at least. It's not much, right? Do we not take an hour out to watch TV? Do we not take an hour out to do other things? 1 hour in the morning to do some introspection. Who triggered me? All of this is required. I have to see my experiences in the day. What has happened in this day? It's not easy to see that. Where have I been triggered? What reactions have I, it is not that person to blame. Who has made me react in life? Why have they made me react? Is it that person? If that anger is not in me, how can they bring it out? In fact, Shastra says everybody is only instrumental in triggering what you already have inside. If you don't have something inside, it cannot come out. So we blame the outside, say it's your fault, you made me angry. No, you have to say, you are the instrument to trigger the anger already in me. This is the way to balance both this spiritual life and living in the world as well. We have to take some time out, but your worldly life, as I said, there's no dichotomy here, because in your worldly interactions, when you interact with people, you are actually, they're helping you to grow spiritually, because you can only see the places where you have to grow when you're triggered in the world. If you're living alone in a hut, you're not going to get triggered, right? You may think you're perfect. Nobody is around, so nobody to push your buttons. It's actually when you're in the world, you realize, oh, I have this. The issues are triggered when you're with people or living in the world, and the whole idea is to become immune, develop mental immunity to everything, then nothing can disturb you.